Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rita Live. Thank you for joining me. I know we have some others going to call in and listen, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to Freedom Mastery, and we are in the series of Awaken to Your Greatness, and that is God within, the principle of power within us, and we are learning all about, you can even say communicating with God. That's a really simple way to explain it to someone when they ask, what does that mean? My goal here is to just be a guide and to be an example of what taking spirit looks like into reality and a working definition of God. From my perspective, of course, and all my mentors and coaches that I've come through along the years, which is interesting because I've come through a lot of different spiritual backgrounds, and I grew up with no spiritual background, but always knew that God was real. I knew that there was a God. My grandmother had a Bible, and she read to me taught me the Lord's Prayer when I was very little. I remember her teaching me the Lord's Prayer, and I remember I still have her Bible, and I remember seeing her at night reading it, and I think that was in some way a foundation for where I'm at today, that I was exposed to that at such a young age and that I saw that. So then when I was exposed to it as an older person, it was easier to grasp and take. It was familiar. Oh, my grandma, the person I loved so much in my whole life, read the Bible. Of course I will read the Bible. So it's a really great example too, an analogy of our relationships with people, and how what we see people doing that we may not be familiar with. If we've been exposed to it multiple times, we'll become familiar with it, and we won't even realize it's happening. When it comes to marketing, there are rules and laws that they say, somebody has to be exposed to something 7 times before they'll consider buying it or trying it or whatever it is. So there's a lot of ways that this is happening to us and we don't even know it. So what I like to do is I'm going to give you, I think we have 6 today. Yeah, there's going to be 6 things, and it's going to be really simple. Something to abandon, and after we figure out what we're going to abandon, we're going to then pick up something to advance in. So we're going to switch our abandonment to advancement. Exciting. So the first thing is we're going to abandon the restrictions. So any restrictions that you find gives you that uncomfortable, restricted feeling, and it's the opposite of freedom. So it's constricting, it's tight, it's anxiety, it's stress. The things listed in the book, the book that I'm studying, that's inspired from this, list the exact, what they say is fears, religions, doctrine that you do not believe, culture even. So this is going to go really deep, and this is going to go, a lot of times I don't even notice when I have picked up a habit or a belief or a restriction that is restricting me. I'm just not always aware of it. So as we become aware of it, really take a look because this one of the statements that it said in this book was, we cannot be ruled by below, that we must be ruled by above. Or I would say, I don't consider God above me, I consider God with me, in me, within me. So seek to be ruled by the Spirit. And when Wallace Waddle says you cannot be ruled by below, definitions of below are others, and then all of those things listed, fears of anything. Everything is possible. I mean, God is within us. So if God is within us, even though our physical might be fallible, the God within us is not. And so we are literally the pure potential of God. I mean, how powerful is that? To really realize that the source of all creation is within us. So powerful to meditate on that. So, that's where you're going to want to then advance. You want to advance in your creativity, because creativity naturally breaks down restrictions. and in a fun way, in an easy way, right? Just be more creative, and you'll find that, you know, you'll come to questions where, do I do this? Yes or no? Focus on trying new things. We only work to the level of our belief. So, you know, anything new that we start, we're not going to believe that we're going to be good at it at first. But as we practice and as we put it into practice, and we are, you know, being creative and whatever it is in that might be something that lights you up, it helps us to connect with our dreams, to connect with the possibilities, because we feel better while we're doing those things and activities and advancing in what we love. There was I got this quote here. Okay, so if you know anything about football, Tony Dorsett is a former running back. He said, you need to find something to hold on to, something to motivate you, to inspire you. And he's talking about, what he was talking about is how athletes stay motivated to end up being, you know, these major, super athletes, you know, almost superhuman, right? And it's because they found something that they could hold on to that motivated them, that inspired them, that no matter what the cost, they continue to move forward. So connecting what you have right now, connecting to that, whatever that is right now that you're good at, that you love to do, connecting with that and spending more time there, that'll help overcome and abandon restrictions very easily. Yes. Oh, you're good, Courtney. Hi, Courtney. Thanks for joining. Good to see you. Thank you. Good to have you. So we just started, so we're just getting in. So one was abandon restrictions and advance in your creativity. So we're going to go through a list of what to abandon and what to advance in, or attempt to advance in. Maybe pick up, you know, like there's no quitting anything. Habits, restrictions, old ways, like whatever it is, we're never going to quit anything. We must replace it with something else. There's only a replacing, really. And this makes it easier when you're really pouring yourself into something you really, really love. It makes it really easy to abandon restrictions and just to have fun with your life and just to be more just you. However creative and crazy and out there it is, because we know everybody's not going to be happy with what you're doing, period. All leaders disappoint some people. All leaders, all people that have genuine good hearts to help people are going to be disappointing people at some point, because we can't control their expectations of us. We can't control what they want us to do. So allow them to feel that way, right? So number 2 is abandon selfish or sensual habits of mind and body that don't serve you, right? There are obviously all kinds of sensual habits that could serve us, especially if you're married. And any physical being has sensual desires and needs from our bodies. God made us that way. So when we have urges or, you know, wants to do stuff, really when we're looking for something to bring out, you know, a happiness within us, something out here to bring a happiness within us out, it really isn't gonna come when it's a habit that's distracting us from what does serve us. So that's really the only way that I look at habits, to see, you know, is it serving me? Or is it distracting me? And if there's no distractions, then I move on. And if there is a distraction and there's something else that it's deterring me from, you know, maybe it's even a subconscious, like Melody calls it like when you purposely sidetrack yourself, you're like, yeah, I know I need to do this, but I'm going to go over here and do this first. Maybe it's watching TV. A lot of people get home right after work and they just turn on the TV. Watching TV in bed can be something too. The distress, for fears also that things are going to go wrong, or the fear that people are not going to like you. I mean, even just the fear of other people not accepting us. And you know, that's really a selfish habit, because we're only thinking of ourselves versus them. So, you know, fear is, I don't know, it's to me, when I start to fear something, I usually find that it's deep down, it is something selfish, or it's definitely emotional pain that I've got to come through and overcome. And it's usually easy to discern one or the other now, but in the beginning, you know, a lot of people like to say that they have no time to do anything. And here's where the habits come in, where there are habits of some kind that are interfering. And that's where anybody that you hear say that, well, I don't have time for anything. You want to ask them to track their day for like a full day or two, to literally write down every single thing they do. And it's really quick and easy to pull out your habits that way, because you're going to be writing whatever it is your habit is multiple times a day and reading it at the end of the night and like, okay, it makes our emotional and physical habits visual. So it's a different way of kind of looking at where we're at and being able to perceive within ourselves, you know, where we're at with that. And maybe it is okay. You know, maybe it's a habit that is serving us. You know, I went from a habit of overeating Taco Bell to a habit of having 2 shakes a day for like 3 years. And that became my habit, right? It was a habit. I had to do it every day. I didn't feel good if I didn't get the protein in me. My muscles didn't show as much if I wasn't eating enough protein. I would eat other bad things if I didn't have the shakes. So here's where you're going to advance in your disciplines that do serve you. So whatever those habits are that are not serving you, you're looking at what is the opposite of that, and then you're going to pour into that. So that's what I did with say like physical transformation, and like spiritual, which is very important. Normally, I mean, in my own perspective, my own experience, I went from having no habits to building and creating a spiritual practice and a habit to grow my spiritual side. Because if we're not putting energy into something and putting time into it and growing it, it's not going to grow. So every area of ourselves, our mind, body, spirit, there should be a piece of that in our daily lives that we're giving. So morning ritual, then personal growth, and then you know, something physical, whatever it is you want to focus on. Maybe it's drinking more water. Maybe it's eating more protein and eating less sugar and candy, or, you know, whatever things you can do comfortably to create a habit, to replace an old habit. It doesn't have to be something crazy either. And that's where people think, you know, I got to go to the gym 3 or 4 days a week. It absolutely doesn't have to be that way, because what happens is when you overdo it in an area, then you're going to be underdoing it somewhere else. It's just natural. You can't overgive somewhere and still have enough to balance out your day. So being realistic with your expectations and what practice you're going to create is important. To start small and then grow and build on that is a perfect way, and one of the ways that Melody helped me to grow on my success habits in my day. So another selfish habit, or just a habit in general, is comparison and comparing ourselves to people. And, you know, if we're looking around and looking at other people and judging ourselves by what other people are doing, what other people are thinking, the analogy that came to me is it's like when me and my husband get ready to go out, right? He's like, babe, you look good, you look great, you look awesome, but I'm still going to look in the mirror and make sure that there's nothing weird on the back of my shoe, that my hair looks good, that my lipstick's on, that my dress looks good. Like, I'm still going to check myself, right? We're still going to look in the mirror before we leave the house for the day, right? We always check ourselves because we know impressions are important. That's not always vanity, right? I don't believe that that's vanity. I believe that it's being professional, it's being an adult, checking yourself. So if we check ourselves physically, then let's create a habit of checking ourselves with our spiritual life and our mental health as well, and not allowing others to do those checks for us. So basically, when we're comparing ourselves to others, we're just constantly letting other people tell us what we are and never checking ourselves. So I found that when I started comparing, the more I am statements I did, and the more whole morning ritual, exchanging stuff in and out. Of course, I don't do all 7 things in one day at one time, or one day even. But that helped me with the comparison, because I started then to just check my own self. And as soon as I start to compare to somebody, then I check, why am I doing that? Why do I feel less because of that? Like, what's going on? And it was easier to come to that awareness, and I didn't sit there as long either. was great. So the world is ruled by habit, and it's definitely true. And it talks about kings, tyrants, masters, you know, people that aren't doing good for people necessarily, or people that are doing good. People accept them over long periods of time because they become, it's a habitual accepting of whatever it is that they're doing. I mean, you can look at anything, government, society, you can look at politics, you can look at anything. And it becomes a habit. Now, where we got it from, sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's from our family, sometimes it's from school, all different, wherever we pick that up. But it's true that our habits affect our entire life and our entire day. And everything we're doing on a daily basis is a habit. And that's what changes and affects and really creates our success. Not the things we do every now and then. It's those habits that we're doing all the time. So being aware of them is key and important when you're truly looking for success and fulfillment. Yeah, so the third one, okay, abandon the pressures of conventional success. And advance in being God-minded. So conventional success is basically others-minded. Conventional success is what other people have created and labeled as success. And that's not success for everyone. Everyone is individual and unique. We are cherished by God by who we are, not what we do. So when it comes to success, you know, feeling a success and knowing we are success in our hearts, regardless of our labels and titles and bank accounts, is vital, like so vital and key. That way, when unexpected things come and some of those things we don't have anymore, it doesn't affect our identity. You know, when I lost my portrait, basically, for a period of time, lost my portrait business because of my physical issues, my identity was out the window. That's all I knew. My whole entire life, I was a photographer. When I couldn't do that anymore, I was like, what? Who am I now? My dream was always to be a stay-at-home mom. But I had already created, you know, this identity I had already created for myself and was everything. You know, that label was who I was, and that was almost it. It was it. It was like I wasn't anything else anymore. And when I had no backup plan, and when I, you know, when things changed and my plans didn't go as I thought, I lost myself in the process versus just losing the money or the studio or something like that. Yeah. You know, and many of us come to this point at some point in our life in one way or another, really, you know, holding steady to the fact that being abundant and being rich starts within our heart and then overflows into other areas. Always. When we make choices for ourselves, this was something too that I wrote down, when we make choices for ourselves, from our own hearts, we change the future. When we make choices based on what other people are doing and we're just doing what other people are doing, we're not changing our future or anybody else's future. Because what they're doing for those people isn't necessarily my calling to do for my people or my family. I got to find what's right for me. And, you know, I mean, one of the big things that my family went through was when we abandoned our religion, basically. My husband was in an independent fundamental Baptist church, and we chose to switch to a church that wasn't as legalistic and have the man-made, you know, rules that we felt in our heart God wasn't prioritizing. And, you know, when this happens and during those seasons of life, you know, that's a perfect example of when everybody's not going to like you, everybody's not going to agree, and everybody's absolutely not going to understand, right? You know that. We know that. And can you close the door, please? Thank you. But eventually we do begin to see results. And as we're consistent, we see what our personal and individual results are versus, what other people's results are and wanting what their results are, right? We end up getting more creative results than we ever imagined. That's what's happened in my own life as a personal example. And I know I've heard testimonies from other coaches in this group, same thing. So abandon pressures of conventional success, create your own mind of what success is for you. 4 is abandon the no and go with the flow. We're looking at the path of least resistance. I really prioritize being flexible, having a plan, but also being flexible. Divine guidance is ideally what we want. We always want that God within us to be guiding our actions. And if we have cold, hard plans that are not flexible and restrictions, we're not allowing the freedom of what God wants to teach us and show us and help us with, learn new things. I mean, we think that everything's been learned, right? There's people that say that everything's out there ready. My son came to say hi, buddy. But truly, we are all still unique, and God still does have a special, unique plan for each of us. Say hello, Miss Jackson, to Miss Teresa, Miss Courtney, he's listening. So this book was interesting.
Where's this big towel?
I love you. Maybe it's in the bed over here. I love you. This book called it Nature's Intelligent Functions. I thought that was interesting too. To harness harmony in your life that's not fully restricted, that where you have freedom is so important. Saying yes more helps us to find those areas of newness and creativity that we don't know are there, that we don't even expect, really. Every time you wish or want something, you plant a seed. That's so powerful to me. The desire is proof that we're capable and worthy. The mechanics and the skill aren't always there right away. That doesn't necessarily mean it's crazy, or maybe it does. Maybe we are crazy. It's not a bad thing, good or bad thing. But having that desire to do something, even though we don't have the skills maybe yet to do it, is important to become aware of, and then to be able to watch and be guided for what you need, and to have that ear out, that third eye, some people call it, that sixth sense of awareness when God's bringing something to you that is unexpected. I love that thought of the story that it gave in here was a musician, and it talked about how a musician gets really, really good, like the quality of in concerts is, when you're first starting, they're obviously very passionate about it, but then they go into every area of learning about it. They watch people do it. They listen to other people singing how they want to sing, and they hire mentors that are singing and they've already achieved that level of success. And being able to pour yourself into something over a period of time and not know the outcome, we know is based on faith. And my courses are all very, very faith-based. And when we have that faith, and when we do trust that those things are going to come, they do come. I see them come. I'm a personal testimony for that in so many ways. And I know that many of you have stories like that too. And it is really true that when what we're seeking, though we might not be ready for it, a lot of times we see that as it's not coming to us. And a lot of times it is because we're not ready for it, or that there's something else that is coming in replace of it. So detaching from, that's number 5 actually. So detaching from the outcome and focusing on advancing just in the journey. So willing to step into the unknown is really big. All possibility. I mean, if truly we believed anything was possible, we'd say yes to so much more. A statement that this book that Wallace Waddle says, it was so beautiful to me, is surrender to the all creative mind that orchestrates the dance of the universe. Ah, that's just so beautiful. And that statement reminded me of a musician and how he talked about how they advance and grow, and very powerful. Most people achieve success, it seems to be overnight, right? They'll get that book deal, or they'll get the signing from the publisher, the author, the singing groups, you know, I don't know the terms for everything, but, you know, it seems to be overnight, but when you really look at it, they've been pouring into that for decades, sometimes years. We don't ever know when it's going to come. And that's kind of the beauty of it, I think, of that part of living by faith and of trusting the journey that you're going to be put on the path you are supposed to be on, versus having strong attachments. And that's where too, a lot of people find that they struggle with success online and in marketing, or building relationships is a huge one. Huge is we get attached to that idea that marriage is supposed to be a certain way, and we get attached to the outcome versus the journey of being married and growing and learning together and learning to love somebody and just learning to just be a human being living with someone else on the same roof. Like, when you take it to that bigger perspective, it takes away a lot of the minors, you know? So it's important to commit to the outcome and to make sure that that we're enjoying the journey. Just huge part. And then number 6 is abandon haste. Haste and anxiety. Hurry is a manifestation of fear. Time, for one, I personally believe is an illusion. I do as much as I can not to base anything I do on time. Now, because most of the world doesn't operate that way, I have to base some of my stuff on time. But I found so much freedom in being homeschooling, for one, and then also working from home, and not having to base my activities and anything I do on time. It's a distraction, and it causes like a fear of losing something almost, you know, like people say I'm losing time, or I don't have enough time. It's like they're missing out on something almost. And I've been working on training myself, not even to say those words and speak that way. And to always say time is of the essence. Time is coming to me. It's things that don't limit time. There we go. Not time is of the essence, but time isn't a thing to me. Time is an illusion. I have all the time in the world. Everything will come in due time. Statements that go away from the clock time help me at least to remove haste and that anxiety. Connecting, then what you're going to advance in is connecting with, did I say that already? I might be repeating myself here, but it is very, very important. Connecting and reading the mind of God. Advancing in God's mindset. Because ours is going to be based on being human, having all the physical things we have to deal with in life. You know, and fear turns our strengths into weaknesses, because we basically forget our fears we basically forget our strengths when we're fearful and when we're worrying about stuff. We don't remember how amazing we are. We don't remember the things we're good at because we're worried, and we have this fear that like completely cuts our connection with God. Like there's no creative energy flowing there when that fear and darkness take over. So, but nothing truly great, again, is achieved overnight. So this is all a practice that we're working on. It's a discipline that we will work on every day. Hi, oh my goodness, Lily's watching a movie over there yawning. Courtney, I was like, oh my gosh, is Courtney yawning? So let's rely on the perception of truth within us. And my perception of truth, I'm not telling you to have my perception of truth, because you will not, and I cannot tell you to have mine. I want you to create your own perception of what your truth and what your freedom is. And hopefully these steps here will help you. Another thing that I really, really am find is a valuable thing to share here, and I'm going to post this PDF in the Freedom Mastery group to work on, because you know, I like I said, it's important to have a plan, but also be able to be flexible in that. So how do we do that? How do we know what we can do a day and what we can just leave for the next day, or what we can just skip, right? So Melody shared, I took her 6-figure mastery course, and she shared a SMART goal setting worksheet. And it is very detailed, and it asks you all these questions. But what the beauty of it is I'm a year into my SMART goal setting, and I'm seeing, I have seen over this year, time after time again, manifestations of what I'm desiring and wanting to create, what my heart dreams are, what my goals are for my, you know, what we recommend is to set one for your physical, it's at a physical goal sheet, spiritual goal sheet, and a mental goal sheet, and then a business goal sheet. So you're gonna fill it out 4 different times, and you don't have to do this all in one day because it's gonna take some energy. It's gonna take some prayers, some meditation. It really is. And what you're gonna do is, once you get your big goals down, this worksheet's gonna help you break it down over a period of time, whatever period of time you choose is comfortable for you, to get what you want to get done. If it's creating a course, if it's hitting a rank in your business, whatever it is, finding a husband, I don't know. I know you guys aren't looking for that, ladies, but I know some of my other friends here that watch the replay might be. So whatever it is that you're looking for, it's going to help you break it down to where then you can see where you're flexible. It literally breaks it down to the day and hours of a day. So it's very detailed at first. So you're going to spend some time and energy to fill it out. But in the end, you're going to get your dreams. It's literally a dream, a dream catcher. It's going to catch them and bring them to reality. The SMART goal setting worksheet. I'm gonna rename that as my dream catcher worksheet, because Miss Melody, I call her Miss Melody, my angel mentor, Melody Riva, she calls it a goal setting, SMART goals worksheet. But it is very so this came from Robert Hollis's as well. You can check this too. This actually came from his 6-figure marketer course. He don't even do that course anymore. He doesn't offer it anymore. But when he did, this came from that. So that course on his website, roberthollis.com, I don't know how much it is, 3,000 to 5,000, I think. So I'm going to share some really, really valuable. This is really valuable. It's really created like where I'm at right now. This SMART goal worksheet is a big part of it. A huge part of it. So I'm going to share that with you guys because I want you to have the success that I have found in every way. So I'm going to get you that PDF. And then what I also did was when you go to the files to awaken your greatness, I'm just going to have all the resources you need, like anything that I talk about and mention, I'm going to go ahead and put that link in that file. So you'll go there now and you'll find the daily activities. And there's just 7 steps, and you don't have to do them all a day. It just helps me to see what you like and what you're doing. And it also helps, to you be accountable, to be consistent. You don't have to do them every day. My goal is always 4 days a week, at least, to do that type of ritual. And then, good, I'm reading y'all's chats. Yes, true. Love is not a matter of counting the years, but making the years count. That applies to everything. And Teresa Thurston, that is some wise words. Thank you for sharing. So I'm going to have, so I'll put the goal setting worksheet there in the files of Awaken to Your Greatness file. And then you're also going to see, I put an audio in there, and I have added that audio. That was something that I added to my morning ritual. And I actually listened to that audio for, I believe it was about 3 months in a row. My goal was 365 days, and I made it 3 months. So I was happy with that. It was my first go round, but it did change a lot for me as far as my perception and paradigms of the world. So I also posted that, and it's an Earl Nightingale audio, one of the oldest personal growth audios you've ever seen. So I'm sure you might have already even seen it. But what I would recommend is just to listen to that some kind of regular basis, even if it's just the first 5 minutes the first time, because that's really all I needed, the first 5 minutes, to really open my mind to, wow, to things I just wasn't seeing before. And it's also when you can share with others too, when you're talking to people and you're, looking for people that are business minded to join your network marketing company. Ideally, Melody, she is looking for a team. She teaches us, and Robert as well, to duplicate a team so that you're actually not working by yourself anymore. And that's the beauty of this whole thing that we're doing here. So this is a great video because it is only 13 minutes. So it's a great one to share with someone, to ask, as a sorting tool, to ask them, if they liked it, what they thought about it, because it's very, very eye-opening. You'll know once you watch it. So check the files for those two things. And then, Courtney, I know you were going to send me something, your personality test. Also, if anybody's watching the replay too, and you haven't already sent me a perfect day, or even if you've already sent it, I would like another one. I challenge you to write your perfect day for 30 days in a row. To write a perfect day every day for 30 days in a row. And even if it's weekdays, take the weekends off. If it's comes into your day, or you need a break, that's realistic. Writing things is so, so powerful. And I did my live today right before this call on writing. And I just made it kind of fun. I talked about how our personalities can be related by what kind of pen or pencil we use. Totally, it just made sense. Me and Marina were talking about it, so I shared that. But really what it was is a conversation starter. And, I want to attract people that have pen collections. I want to know people that are writing, that put their thoughts down on paper, because truly results do come when we start to do that, and when we are taking that next action step in writing down our goals. So the SMART goal worksheet, yes, I love that. Dream big. Yep. The SMART goals worksheet is going to help you start to write if you don't know what to write about your goals and about, what you want and what your desires are and all that. It's going to help you streamline, where to put your mind. Anyway, so that'll help you there. Let me know too. So when you fill it out too, please send them to me as you get them completed. I would love to see them. If you don't want to share, that's okay too. But getting them done is key, because I procrastinated on that, not going to lie. I procrastinated on that when she first sent me that for a month. And I don't know why, just other things in my daily activities I was doing. But when I sat down and finally did it, I was blown away. I was blown away. It seems simple to think, let's just break down our goals. But this really will help open your eyes to get to the nitty gritty of what you really, really want. And yeah, that's it. Courtney, Teresa, do you ladies have any questions? I don't want to take too much of your time, but I'm totally open and available if you have any questions. You can just unmute yourself and ask, ladies, or chat. All right. You want to say bye? All right. Otherwise, we will. Hi, Miss Teresa.
My girl.
Miss Marina wants to say hi.
I can't think of any questions at the moment. I'm sure I'll think of something as soon as we hang up, but I can't think of anything at the moment.
You are good. You can message me anytime, Miss Teresa, okay? I'm going to start calling you Coach Teresa, because that's what your heart tells me. So Marina made Shrinky Dinks tonight.
Yeah, I'll
I love those.
I'll show you.
I'll go ahead and stop the recording.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us live. And if you have watched the replay, I am so grateful that you are here, and let's connect more closely. And we'll talk soon.
Can I show you?